I'm going to move to approve.
No, I missed
Ah,
recording the meeting. So just noting that we started at 6:36 p.m. The call to order had um four commissioners present. So we had four commissioners present, one absent, and then one vacant and four absent commissioners. And we just went through the agenda. So any comments or questions, or anyone would like to move to approve the agenda for the April 30th meeting?
I move to approve the April agenda for ANC 6E.
Motion to second.
I will second that.
Sounds good. So Commissioner Hans moved and Commissioner Prince seconded a motion to approve the agenda for the ANC 6E April 30th meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye.
I
Great. The motion passes with four ayes, zero nays, and no abstentions for the votes. The next item that we have is an update from Council Members Allen's office. I see John um, on the call, so I will promote you as a panelist. Good
Good evening,
evening.
everyone. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Okay, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Welcome, everybody to 6E, and I want to welcome Nate Kaufman, the new ANC Commissioner for ANC 6E. Appreciate him stepping up. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have a couple things to cover. One is a few weeks ago, it's something called the Resale Act, Councilmember Allen introduced, which is it's a bill that kind of reins in digital ticket scalping for live music and entertainment shows. It puts a cap of 10% above the ticket price to resell a ticket, and it bans the practice of selling tickets on the resale market that haven't been released yet. And it also requires prices to be inclusive of all fees and taxes when they list the ticket. He introduced this bill to cut out the steep price increases that come from digital scalpers, meaning bots, to scoop up many tickets and mark them up significantly, to the detriment of residents who get priced out. Venues and artists don't ever see this extra money from the secondhand market, so that's a big factor for this. And then the next step for this bill is a hearing. It was referred to the Committee on Public Works and Operations. I can put the link to the bill in the chat if you want to review it. I will say that when we announced this, it was at the Anthem with several other folks from the 930 Club, et cetera, joining. They're super supportive of this. Let's see. I have an update on Congress and the cut to our local tax revenue, which I'm sure Marcus or Noah will hit on. So Congress obviously has not voted yet to fix the mistake and restore the 1.1 billion in local funding it cut as part of a deal to avert a government shutdown. The mayor has elected to begin planning for reduced services and a cut plan. I remember about a week ago, I heard that the mayor's plan is not to have furloughs, but in DC agencies, there will be hiring freezes, and there will be obviously no bonuses, no raises, no COLA, things like that, as a first step to take a cut at that. She also tapped into a law that allows her to reduce the amount we would have to cut to about 400 million instead of 600 million. She put in place the same order, a hiring freeze that will affect all agencies, which I mentioned, in order to plan for where to cut the remaining 400 million by the end of the month. So very, very soon. This obviously can all be avoided if Congress returns from recess next week and passes a Senate bill to exempt the district. An update on the budget, which is that there's not much news. The district is still waiting for the mayor to release her proposed budget. We expect that really soon. The delay obviously has been related in part to the uncertainty with the cut by Congress to this year's budget. But we will wait for her proposal and kick off the council's process shortly thereafter. I will note that, we usually have a Ward 6 budget town hall to hear from constituents and ANC commissioners, as well as businesses and other interested parties, to weigh in on where our priorities should be specifically in Ward 6 or other kinds of issues. So we will announce that as soon as we know the timeline for the budget. It will be a very tight timeline, very, very tight. And then I also wanted to thank those. I think 2M showed up to the Great Ward 6 cleanup earlier this month, way earlier. We appreciate everybody coming to get outside with neighbors and get back to our community. And that is all I have. I'm happy to take any questions. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to join you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, John. Commissioners, any questions? Any questions or comments by constituents? Great. Not seeing any. As always, we appreciate your updates and you joining us, and we'll continue to work with Councilmember Allen's office at 6E.
Great. I see that the chat is open, so I will mute myself. I will be here the rest of the meeting in case anybody has a question, or I will also put my email in the chat in case somebody thinks of something later. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now we will.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, point of
Yeah.
order. I may have missed it, but did we approve the agenda in the minutes at the top? I think we approved the agenda.
Oh, we approved the agenda, that's true,
We have
but
to
we
approve
did
the
not
minutes.
approve the minutes. Yeah,
Item
thank
4.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I was distracted by the delay in the recording. So earlier this month, we got a version of the minutes, and I think there was some confusion about the exact time, so we have just went with an estimate for the roll call in the meeting, but I will do a better job with announcing that in the recordings just to capture that. Any questions or comments about the minutes? If not, can go. And Commissioner Prince, would you like to make a motion? As a
Sure,
second?
I did review them and I replied I didn't have any edits, so I will move that we approve the March 27th minutes.
Okay, second the motion. So Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Abu Khalaf seconded a motion to approve the minutes for the March 27th ANC 6E meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion moves with 0 nays and 4 yeas and 0 abstains. Moving towards the next section, an update from Noah. Want you as a panelist.
Hi, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, thanks for joining us.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Noah Glasgow. I am Mayor Bowser's Ward 6 liaison, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm her eyes and ears within Ward 6. I'm coming to you with 2 updates from the mayor's office. It's been a big week for her, but more importantly, a big week for DC. And John, you teed it up perfectly for me about the budget, because we actually do have two previews with the budget for fiscal 26. So last week and this afternoon, Mayor Bowser previewed a portion of her fiscal 26 budget proposal. And in the coming days, the mayor is going to share a little bit more about her fiscal 26 budget, which is focused on public schools, public safety, and a transformational economic growth agenda. So fiscal 26 is going to put an additional $100 million into the Housing Production Trust Fund, bringing the total contribution over the past decade to $1.4 billion, which is more than any jurisdiction in the United States to fully support our affordable housing production in the district. When Mayor Bowser took office, about 7% of renters were living in affordable units, and now today it's about 13%. So we are seeing growth, and there's more work to be done. Additionally, the fiscal 26 budget is going to fully fund PKEEP, which is the Pre-K Enhancement and Inspection and Expansion Program, for $19.5 million. That's how much is going to go towards it. And that supports our pre-K seats for 3 to 4-year-olds outside of DCPS in DC public charter schools, which is going to ensure more access and options for families across all 8 wards of the district. We're going to put $86 million for the DC Child Care Subsidy Program, again, fully funded, which helps eligible families pay for the cost of childcare and supports access to high quality education in the district. And finally, we are also fully funding the Early Childhood Educator Pay Equity Fund for $70 million, which is going to help child development facilities offer competitive wages and healthcare for our childcare workers, which is part of the critical infrastructure of the district that we know. And the second big thing, I don't know if you've heard, but the mayor made a big deal with the Washington Commanders to bring them back home to DC. And so we know that over the past decade, thanks to Mayor Bowser's historic economic investments, the district has truly become America's sports capital. Mayor Bowser's administration has catalyzed growth by delivering Audi Field in Southwest, the Care First Arena in Ward 8 at the St. Elizabeth's campus, and the transformation of Capital One Arena. And we plan to deliver a new revitalized 100-acre site for the people of DC by fall of 2030, which the Washington Commanders Stadium will anchor. We know that DC is unlike any jurisdiction in the United States. We're a city, we're a county, and we're a state all at once. I like to call it the holy trinity of bureaucracy. Other states throughout the country have diversified economies with sectors such as agriculture, tourism, industry, manufacturing. But for most of DC's history, our economy was almost solely government. And for better or for worse, we know that the federal footprint in our city is shrinking. And as such, DC's economy is shifting. We've got to have jobs, we've got to have growth. And the 180 acres of opportunity on the RFK campus site in our deal with the Commanders is the fastest and surest route to deliver not just sports and entertainment, but also housing, jobs, recreation, and of course, economic development. We know that major sports are a significant driver of the district's economy, generating $5 billion in 2022 and attracted 7.4 million visitors in 2023. DC sports teams and their facilities have boosted neighborhood investments, with nearby commercial development outpacing the rest of the city after each facility opened. So in the words of Mayor Bowser, we truly can do it all. And in this plan with the Washington Commanders and the redevelopment of the RFK site, we are looking at adding 5,000 to 6,000 new homes, with at least 1,500 to 1,800 of which will be deeply affordable. The stadium is going to generate 2,000 permanent full-time or part-time jobs and 14,000 construction jobs. And the field at RFK will be preserved, and an $89 million sportsplex facility for DC's youth will be delivered, which will keep DC's youth athletes in the district instead of having to travel outside to Maryland and Virginia to run track, to do gymnastics, to go swimming, etc. So if you want to learn more about this, please visit our rfk.dc.gov. That's OUR, rfk.dc.gov. I will drop that link in the chat. I will drop my contact information in the chat, and I am happy to answer any questions from the public or the commission.
Great. Thank you so much, Noah. Commissioners, any questions for Noah?
Yes,
So,
I do have a question. Noah, thank you. I think the stadium is an important topic. A lot of people are interested in that. I've been tracking a little bit some of the various views on it. Um, what kind of public engagement, what kind of discussions will be held around the proposal, the various aspects of the proposal with the stadium, the retail, the residential, and all that? Will there be meetings, town halls, comment period, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, the bill is going to be part of the fiscal 26 budget proposal. And so it's ultimately going to come before the council, which will need to consider this. And so the ball's kind of in their court with this, and that's going to require some public comment. They're going to take testimony, et cetera, to hear and I'm sure, mark up the deal. In terms of the executive side, of course, we want to hear from the community. We have a live survey open. And on that option, you've got a list of emotions, whether it's extremely satisfied with the Commanders coming back or extremely dissatisfied with the stadium being built. We want to hear that, and we want your true, honest opinion. If you are extremely dissatisfied, please tell us, because we want to right size our approach. We will be planning in the coming weeks and months to work with the community to get their sentiments, to hear town halls, et cetera. I know the mayor, right after Congress had sent us back, had given us back the lease for the RFK site, held a town hall at Eastern High School in Ward 7, where she got to introduce, I guess, her initial proposals for that. And so there will be more coming in the following weeks. They've yet to be scheduled, but I do know they're coming down the pipeline.
great. Commissioners, any questions or comments for Noah? I actually have a question since we're talking about the mayor's proposed budget for FY 26. Do you think that she will include an item for implementation of Initiative 83, or is that still unclear?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can ask.
Okay, great. That would be appreciated. Constituents, do you have any questions? I see that Nancy Rosen has her hand. As a reminder, we'll have up to 2 minutes for questions, and then the panelists can have up to 2 minutes to respond. Nancy, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I have a question about the fiscal year 25 budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we understood that there was a $66 million appropriation in the fiscal year 25 budget for the expansion of the CCNV homeless shelter and the construction of a transitional housing building on the adjacent property. Do you have an update on that?
I do not know off the top of my head. I am more than happy to circle back with our budget team that will know more about that. Could I get that address again?
It's the CCNV, the corner, I think it's 625 D Street.
625 D Street. All right. And is
Well,
that northwest?
The corner of D and Second Street Northwest.
Gotcha.
If I can jump in, it's 425.
Thank you.
425. Okay.
425 D Street, yes.
And will somebody be circling back with the community?
I can certainly do that. I'll drop my information in the chat before I'm, I guess, downgraded from a panelist. That way you'll have my contact information. If you could just reach out to me, I'll have your email on file and I can follow up that way.
Appreciate that.
My pleasure.
I'm sure Commissioner Prince would also like to know.
Yes, ma'am.
It's in his SMD. Thank you.
My
Great.
pleasure.
Thank you. Constituents, any questions or comments? Great, not seeing any. Thank you again, Noah, for joining, and we'll make sure to share your email in the chat.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And now moving to the next segment. Don't know if do we have any representatives from MPD's first or fifth district with us? Don't see any. They're unable because we had to reschedule. Well, we can move to the next section, and then if anyone joins later from MPD can go back to that section. So the next item is a resolution urging the DC mayor and the DC council to implement Initiative 83. I can share my screen to show the draft resolution. Is the font size okay? Or shall I zoom in a little maybe? Okay.
Better.
Yeah, it's better.
Great. So just giving quick background information. In the 2024 election, there was a Initiative 83 on the ballot, passed, I believe, with over 72% of voters approving it. It has two main provisions. One is including ranked choice voting for most elections except political party offices, such as the Democratic Party, and then allowing a voter with no party affiliation to choose the party that they would like to participate in the primary election of their choosing, again, except for political party offices. And then included some background information. The initiative estimated an implementation budget for over 4 years. Mostly it would fund voter outreach and educational efforts by the Board of Elections. And the initiative, as approved by voters, called for implementation beginning with June 2026 primary election. More background information. So basically what we would be calling for, and I shared this and more information via email with the commissioners. So we would be calling on the mayor to include full funding for implementation of the initiative in her budget request for FY26. And then we would be calling on Chairman Mendelson and the council and the chair of the council's committee on executive administration and labor to include full funding for implementation in their markups of the budget. And then we would be calling on the council to approve the said funding. So yeah, this is what I shared, and um commissioners, any questions, comments, thoughts? Questions or comments? Um, let's see. Constituents, before we vote on the resolution, anyone has any thoughts, comments, or questions? Sounds good. Well, not seeing any, I can move the resolution. So I move a resolution to express um, for the DC Mayor and Council our support for the full and timely implementation of Initiative 83 by funding the initiative. I think that there are a lot of provisions in that, so I'm gonna keep it broad. Motion to second.
I will second that.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Prince first, so go, Commissioner Abukaloff moved and Commissioner Prince seconded a motion to express to DC Mayor and DC Council, ANC 6E support for the full and timely implementation of Initiative 83 and fully funding the initiative. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Hans, you could abstain if you.
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain just because I
Okay.
don't really know enough to have
Yeah,
an opinion.
no,
Yeah.
no problem. So the resolution passes with 3 ayes, 1 abstain, and 0 nays. And we will make sure to share that resolution with the DC Mayor's office and the council. The next item is request for support for alley closure. So um okay, I see Chapman. I'll promote you as a panelist. Commissioner Prince, do you know if there are any other representatives?
I'm not aware, but I suspect that Chapman
Okay,
Todd will be able to tell
Christopher.
us.
Yeah,
Who else do we have?
so we have Chapman, we have Christopher, and then there's another.
Rico Harris should be on as well.
Go. Maybe executive office is the. Let me see. I don't see Rico. Rico, you could use the raise hand option unless you have the name executive office.
Hello, can you hear?
Well, yes, I can
Uh,
hear you okay. Great. We have your slides up, so you have up to 10 minutes to present, so please go ahead.
All right, just give me a minute. I'm Rico Harris, the Executive Director of the Community for Creative Nonviolence. A year ago, we had finally obtained sole ownership of the parking lot behind Federal City Shelter, which is 425 Second Street, not D Street. And what we did was submit a proposal and had a presentation with the city administrator on a project that we would like to get started with, and also get some help from the district government as far as getting the project done. The project is considered a homeless services complex. The complex is going to be made up, or our plan was it going to be made up of a lot of affordable housing. A lot of affordable housing, anywhere from 2-bedroom apartments to SROs. The city administrator was elated. He couldn't, first of all, he thanked us for even wanting to do something like that on property that we solely own. And then he went to city council, and what they did was approved $64 million for just the shelter part alone. The shelter part, as far as the planning was concerned, in partnership with the city administrator's office, Mr. Donahoe, is on a lot that's on the inside of all the lots that we own. For the last year, the district government and CCNV has been planning to start with the funding, the $64 million funding, just for the shelter part of our entire vision alone of a lot of affordable housing. Keep in mind that this vision is 37 years old. Mitch Snyder had settled for 425 just to get people off the street, but his vision was to get people into housing because the homeless wanted to go home. So we felt obligated to put the icing on the cake and seal the deal, and that's what this project is about. Unfortunately, the lots that the shelter part is going to go on with $64 million will be spent. It needs to be locked to the outside lots. And they're the outside lots that's on the D Street side, and they're the outside lots that's on the E Street side. And it's a partial alley closure. That's because if it's the way it stands now, if it stands the way it is, we can only go, I believe it's 3 stories high. And we have already planned with the city administrator's office and his team, the shelter part alone is already at 6 stories high. You know, so we actually need that square footage. We actually need those floors. And above the shelter, we wanted to go 3 more stories high because we were talking about putting anywhere from 90 to 100 SRO units on the next 3 floors above that. So it's very important that we tie into the D Street side, because that's going to be our coordinated entry side. The coordinated entry side, where if you don't need shelter and you need permanent supportive housing, or you need affordable housing, or you need assisted living, or you need respite care, or anything like that, you don't have to go straight to the shelter. You can qualify right there on the D Street side, in the D Street portion of our homeless services complex, and go anywhere that you qualify for, and don't have to go right to shelter. To give you the details and the square footage and what actually need to happen, I turn it over to Chapman Todd.
Hi, thanks for the handoff there, Rico, and for the ANC commissioners, thanks for having us tonight. I do want to ask, because I'm not sure of your protocol for flipping slides. Should I just say flip slide, or what's the appropriate? Okay, great. So thank you for that. Just for context, I will add, as Rico alluded, this is a concept we've been talking about for a very long time. I've got a lot of history with the building. I spent 10 years early in my career working at DC Central Kitchen, which until very recently was on the ground floor of the shelter. So this is something that, Rico and I and the other members of the pro bono team with CCNV have spent a lot of time thinking about, and are glad to be in front of this ANC. We've actually been talking about this so long that going back, we had considerable relationship with ANC 6C when this was in the boundaries of that, and then COVID delayed us. So there's history going back to conversations with that with the previous ANC, but I think this is our first time talking with ANC 6C. With having said that, if someone could flip to slide 3 for me, please. For context, okay, so there are specific, it's actually page 3, so sorry, the next slide. Rico said with the project overview. So the specific ask, and we'll show the map of the properties in a second here, but the specific ask for the alley closure, this is the entirety of the block, the north of E Street on the north, D Street on the south, Mitch Snyder Place, also known as 2nd Street on the west, and 1st Street on the east. The existing alleys, this is the plot from the surveyor's office. The request is what is hatched in red, both on the portion of the northern east-west alley, and then a smaller portion on the southern east-west alley on D Street. So if you keep that picture in mind, but then if you could switch to the next slide, I will show you the property. So this is the entirety of the block. The current shelter is what's in red. It's known as CCNV shelter, or the Federal City Shelter. That is what CCNV operates out of now. That building is owned and maintained by the District of Columbia government, even though it's well associated with CCNV, and Unity Healthcare also has a space in there. As I mentioned, DC Central Kitchen was in there until very recently. There's a number of programs going on there, and it's known to many folks in the community as the CCNV shelter. In fact, it's the Federal City Shelter and owned by the district government, and CCNV operates out of that. This is part of going back 30 years, and I won't spend too much time on this, but it's an important part of the CCNV story, which dates back to the 1980s and President Reagan. The district government was given the site of the Federal City Shelter by the federal government through a process that varied. There's a movie about it, or multiple movies about it, so it's a real story. The parcels in yellow were surplused by the federal government and given to CCNV. There was a 30-year timeline over which the title, the deed became final and cleared for CCNV last year. So this has been 30 years in the works, while CCNV has used the spaces in yellow as parking to support the operations within the building. It is all surface parking lot except for this parcel down at the southern end on D Street, which is a 2-story building that's actually not used. So for context, CCNV owns everything that's in yellow. The district government owns everything that's in red. The specific request, as Rico alluded, this concept that we've talked about with the city and with a lot of stakeholders in the community for a number of years, involves replacing the Federal City Shelter, the operations that happen in the Federal City Shelter, by building a new state-of-the-art modern shelter, which would just take up a portion of CCNV's land, and then allowing the existing federal city shelter space to be repurposed by the district government. Perhaps as housing, perhaps is something totally different, but like what is happening in the current federal city shelter, with an additional height and density on some of the CCNV lots, can be replicated with enough left over to do what Rico said, in terms of the housing and part of CCNV's mission going forward. So with that, I will, take a pause just for a second, and so that, if there's any questions about the portions or the specific request on the alley, if there are not, then I will go to the next part, which is, it says, as Rico indicated, the importance of reconnecting CCNV's lots that are facing E Street and facing D Street to 812 and 813 really allows the possible height and density to be increased on those unconnected lots. But most importantly, in our conversations dating for literally 10 years about a revisioning of the services to people that are homeless in and around this neighborhood, the idea of reorienting where the shelter enters, where the entrance is, how it's configured, how it fits into the neighborhood, like the essentially landed very early on in these conversations with a reorientation to be an entrance off of D Street rather than 2nd Street, which is where the current shelter enters from, and then where Unity currently enters from, which is on the northern portion of lot 820. The idea would be to reconfigure to face D Street. And so in order to unlock and do the new modern configured, reconfigured shelter that CCNV would like to do, and the District of Government has committed money to do over this and the next 2 fiscal years in the capital budget, really requires connecting that, like the D Street lot there, 0008 to 812 and 813. And then the bigger vision is to connect all of the CCNV lots with an alley closure so that the height, density, and the configuration of what CCNV would like to do in terms of long-term affordable housing and this in the shelter is then possible. So if you could switch to the next slide, and then we can quickly wrap it up and then talk about, if there's some details. Sorry, if you can jump down to the next one. So I just, want to reiterate that 812 and 813 30-year interior lots really will get unlocked and make the reconfiguration of a shelter, a new building to come off D Street possible, but with that reconnection. We are currently in the process of talking to the ANC is part of our step here. We have begun conversations with district government outreach. We have worked with a number of the stakeholders in the neighborhood for an extended period of time, meaning the Georgetown University, downtown bid, Mount Vernon bid, the tax court, going back to previous configurations with Capitol Crossing. We are reinitiating outreach with our immediate neighbors, which is the building on First Street, the office building, as well as the federal government building that is on the southeast portion of this lot. We are asking for the ANC's support of the alley closures and anticipating a request to Councilman Allen, who is aware and has been supportive of what CCNB envisions here with legislation to do this. So with that, I will stop and see if there are questions. We have some additional photos that show the configuration and the impact, which we are happy to show if the commissioners would like us to, or just we'll see what would make sense. And
yes, I think
again,
that would be helpful if you could go through the photos and then we could do Q&A.
Sure. So if you can go to the next one. Sorry, jump down one more. Okay, sorry, keep going. Is that the last? Because we sent you an updated one with these photos.
Oh, I must have it. Let
this
me.
afternoon. If you don't have that, I can share it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I do have
looks like
that,
I have
but
to.
yeah.
Okay. Just
Let
go.
me
We
share.
realized that the photos. We didn't realize that you would have all of it, so we added the photos to send over. So that was the one
Yeah,
that
no
came over
problem.
this afternoon at 4. It's the same presentation, just with some additional.
Yes. So it's the PowerPoint presentation, right?
Yeah, it says, and it just says, it's the same one, but it's updated with the
Got it.
additional
Yeah.
slides. Okay.
No problem. Screen.
Great, perfect. So you can see, this is our visual. We have three sections here. The first photo here, and this with the aerial shot on the left. So this is the portion of the alley that is requested to be closed on the southern portion of the lot, is directly behind the building that is on the photo at the bottom, is the back of the CCNV parcel that faces D Street, where that Capital Bike Share is. That is the width of the building. You can see it right down on the picture, the Google Earth view, essentially where the ST is on D Street Northwest. So that portion that is asked to be closed there is just the width of the building. The garage entrance for the GSA building, which is I think it's DOJ, it's Bureau of Prisons building. They have a parking garage which is just for their building. It's not a public garage. The entrance to that is just to the east of the edge of CCNV's building. The requested alley closure there is just the width of CCNV's building. It goes up to essentially the line of where their garage entrance is. Their loading is about where on the Google Earth they have a loading area that is at the edge of their building. Their building is set back a little bit. After you come off First Street, you can see it pulls back a bit. They have a loading area or a back area where they do their loading and their trash is there. So this alley closure does not impact their ability to get to their garage entrance or where their dumpster is. What they do right now is, and Enrico can attest to this, is that our observation has been that they pull in and do a 3-point turn for the trash, either up the north-south alley behind the First Potomac building, or there, because 812 is a surface parking lot, their trash truck is backing into 812. So part of our consideration is, to work with them on their trash, but again, it does not impact their ability to get to the garage. So with that one, if there's a question about that, let us know. If not, we can go to the next one and show you the northern. We have two photos about the northern alley. So again, the Google Earth view, this is the east-west alley that does not run all the way through to Mitch Snyder Place. It just runs to all those cars that you see are on CCNV zoned parcels. The part on the left is the Federal City Shelter. The alley closure is just requested on both sides of what now is CCNV's land of north of 813, I'm sorry. The garage entrance for the First Potomac building, the photo there in the middle is looking east from the back of the Federal City Shelter. The portion that's kind of the lighter color pavement there is what the request for closure is. That white car in the photo there is entering the garage that for the First Potomac building. And if you then jump to the next slide, we'll show you this. So this is the east, this is the north-south view from right where you just saw that white car going into the garage entrance, which is again, not public parking, that is parking just for the building there. This alley that is shown on the north-south configuration there on photo for number 3 remains open. It would be to the west of that, essentially right outside of the view of this this photo. That would be the portion that would be closed. The dumpster for this building is behind where this garage entrance is. If you can see on the photo, the Google Earth view on the photo on the left, the garage entrance is right where that number 3 is. And then if you go down, they have an inset in the back of the building, which is where the lighter color car is there at the southern portion of that alley. And their dumpster is right there, pulled back from the building. And as you can see on the photo in the middle, doesn't sit out in the alley. So the request here Our request is essentially to bring the CCNV parcels together by closing these alleys. The access for parcel 55, which is the First Potomac building, the garage entrance is not impacted from the traffic that comes in on First Street. The north-south behind their building remains open. The east-west east of CCNV's parcel 8 down there at the bottom remains open for the cars that would come in and out of 812. So I think that is the last photo we had there. Yeah, we can talk about our conceptual massing if you want, but like, that again, we wanted to show you the photos of how, we see the flow of that traffic happening now and why we think that, there's the possibility of like the vision for CCNV with the land that they have on both sides of the alleys is an essential part of the service going forward for CCNV, and we would hope that you would support the alley closure so that this can come to fruition.
I do want to answer Nancy's question. Nancy thought that it was $64 million, $66 million, but Nancy, the $66 million was for the pink part of that photo that you just saw. The $64 million was only for the six floors that we have already discussed and designed as far as the shelter part of the entire complex is concerned. All of the blue is housing. The only part that's shelter is the pink part. And right now we're at 6 floors of planning. Right. And if they don't get joined, we only can go up 3 floors as far as any of it is concerned, including the shelter part. So it's very important that we get your support as far as the closures are concerned to join the lots together.
Great. Just one quick clarifying question. Can you explain the difference between the units in the blue parts versus what's in the red parts?
So this is just this is a massing study. So this is
got it.
So just this was what would fit and on the parcels. So this is again just for your idea of what CCNV's long-term vision is on this. But it's simply a massing study to show what could fit. Having said that, the thing about so like little bit of history. For many years, the Federal City Shelter was the largest shelter in the country. Up to 1,400 people stayed there on any given night. Under Rico's leadership, it's scaled down a bit. There's roughly Rico, 500 people,
about 500
people. And so what we have, figured in part of this equation is that essentially everything that is currently done in that 3-story building facing 2nd Street can be replicated and more with increased height and density on CCNV's parcels. So what that really, the massing portion of this is to do what is currently happens in the building without displacing anyone who currently is in the shelter component. You can do all of that in what is pink. So they just want to say that, the vision from the city's committed $64 million, and they're going back, and I shared with Commissioner Prince on this, that there was an extensive task force that was led by Councilman Jim Graham, and it was really a build first strategy. The building itself, which Rico is happy to show anyone here, Commissioner Prince has been through, it's in tremendous disrepair. There's really no way to fix it, but the emphasis for the city was not to have anyone displaced. You couldn't just close the shelter. So it's essentially a build first strategy. So not to go too long on that, but what's pink, if you just did the shelter component of what currently happens on the 2nd Street building, that floor space that's pink will replace all of what happens and so, the blue could be everything else that Rico's described, the permanent housing, the assisted living, the health component, but it could be, there's no real design for that now, but there is a concept of design for the shelter, and that's what's pink.
Right. Yeah. My question was, and you answered my question more about the potential uses and the new additions. Great. Commissioner Prince, this is in your district. Do you have any questions? We can start.
Thank you. Yes, just a couple for, there was a term that came up that I'm not familiar with, SRO. What is SRO?
Um,
It,
go ahead, Chairman.
Oh, it's a housing model. It's a single room occupancy. There's configurations in the homeless services world, like apartment style housing, but an SRO is a possible model, as Rico alluded. It's one that that CCNV has explored, which is not necessarily a full apartment unit, but like shared kitchen or shared bathroom space. So it's a potential model of utilizing the space to serve people, which, again, it's a possibility of what could happen in the non-shelter components for CCNV with
And that
specific
would
type of
be,
housing.
would that be in the area that the part of the building that's depicted in blue as a future
Yes.
post? I don't know what we're calling these two different buildings, the pink and the blue. The pink area or the red building, which would be 6 floors, as I understand it, is the transfer or the move of the CCNV out of the current, sort of in disrepair facility at 425 Second Street. And so the other part that would be on top of that,
It's the SRO.
envision that would be a later construction or at the same time.
Ideally it would be at the same time, but in order to unlock that, we really, as Rico said, the parcels need to be tied together. What we
Right.
financing this component is complicated in the year 2025, but it's not always going to be like that. So what we would like to do is, we want to be able to move forward with the district's commitment on the $64 million now, and leave the open possibility, and which is what we're working on right now, of like how to put together the remaining floors on top. But we're kind of stuck and being, truthfully, CCNV is doing this part of the conversation, and then like working on the housing is phase 2 in a collaboration with the district government or others. But it's kind of a stop-start moment for us, like right now, in order to be able to move forward with the concept of the replacement shelter on the site, with bringing 812 and 813 into connection with the D and E Street parcels, so that it can be built to replace what goes on in the 425 building right now.
So is the thinking that ideally maybe we would build the whole thing at once, but if not, that northern portion, that U-shaped building on E Street, which correct me if I'm wrong, is that intended to be sort of affordable housing, kind of more permanent?
Yes.
And would it be, could that be, we talked about how you could leave the current surface lot as is for a while, if you needed to, before building there.
That's actually what would no doubt happen. Then that would allow the construction, siting, and the parking issues. And the truth is, the affordable housing that CCNV, as I said to you, 2025 is a weird time right now to talk about financing affordable housing. It's not always going to be like that. I mean, this is the stuff that I do. The projects take a really long time. The money's there to start to move forward with the shelter component. So CCNV is ready to go move forward with the shelter component. Having said that, the blue portion is what's next. It'll be something hopefully we're talking about with this ANC over the next course of the next couple of years. But the resources are there now to move forward with the shelter component. So the thought is, let's get this part going. And then, it does unlock the entirety of the 425 building, which is a different conversation. But I just, want to put that one on the table too, that there will be, a vacant building that is a 50,000 square foot lot there. Once it gets rebuilt on a portion of the parking lot, then that opens up a whole new range of possibilities for what Second Street looks like.
Right. And that's up to DC government.
It will be up to DC government.
Yeah. And then finally, I just want to maybe highlight the important point of reorienting the entrance to the building onto D Street. Because of course, when you build this, you will no longer have access to Second Street. And so that's why you can reorient the entrance to the building on D Street. And if at the northern end of the building, you have a surface lot, you may also, I suppose you might have an entrance there. I'm not sure if that would be in the plan. but what is across D Street on the southern side? It's the Department
The Department of Labor and the entrance to
of Labor. Is
395.
that
So
correct?
yes, I don't know if we have a picture of
Yeah.
that. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
see a little bit. There's that
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that building is. It's on the corner of First, but the Department of Labor is directly across on D Street. But you know, when we walked with you, I re-looked at that on the Bureau of Prisons building. There's nothing, there's no street front commercial there. There's actually one emergency exit door. The same thing on that building that's on the
Right.
south side of D Street. There's no
No.
like activity on that. And then you get to the parcel where there's a little bit of a grassy area for Department of Labor, and then you get the entrance to 395. I mean, this was something that we came up, and I said it at the beginning, but I want to say it again. It was like really important for the neighbors, and this was the bid, it was the Capitol Crossing team, it was the tax court, the idea of like reorienting the shelter and then unlocking, we've been having this conversation since before the McCourt School was there, but the entirety of like what E Street looks like and what Second Street looks like and what, that fenced off area that the tax court has, really has a whole new set of possibilities if you reorientate the activity, because, it's a drag for the clients coming into CCNV to line up on Second Street or, to come in for hypothermia, and just to reorient that to a place that's not like in the street and doesn't have commercial in front of it was something that, Rico can attest, like everyone was on board with, like, let's figure out how to make this work on D Street. So
Yeah,
that's
true.
where we essentially, that was something that we have not heard anyone, not saying, let's try to figure out how to do this off the D. And we also don't want to do an entrance off one of the alleys, which I guess, could be a possibility, but, really like to keep any kind of like entrance to a CCNV housing or shelter component from being in off of an alley, and, bringing the door to D Street for the shelter, and then door to housing or assisted living up to E Street or First Street eventually as part of the long-term view. But the shelter coming in off D has been, pretty consistent in the thinking really over a decade.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioners, any questions or comments before we open the floor? I actually just have a clarifying question. So for the future of the parcel, I understand that this is reliant on like accessing financing, and now you mean it's a challenging environment because of high interest rates, construction costs, all of that, right? But this would prep the work for future development on the site, which is important for you.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
having said all of that, the shelter component is what's like, that for real in the world that I work in, that is the hardest part of the equation to solve, because you can't finance it. You can't use low income housing tax credits. You can't use the typical tax exempt bonds, all that stuff. You can't use housing subsidy to subsidize it. But so, the truth of it is, like, an emergency shelter is an important part of the district's response to homelessness. And so that's where that's where the capital money came from. And so that's the part that's there. And, again, everything else there is hard, but it's, where it's in, then CCNV is in the same market as everybody else. And this is, I think, particularly attractive for once the world in the affordable housing finance is a little more normal. It's an attractive site. CCNV owns the property. Rico like really shortcut this, but CCNV is a very unique nonprofit that is all volunteer. So this is not a, going to be a like a acquisition cost issue for like getting those going. So, yes, the answer is eventually that'll come together, but the shelter part, the hardest part of the typical equation to solve here is the capital financing for shelter, and the district's committed money to do that. So, we're ready to proceed with that part.
Got it. Thank you. I see that Nancy has a question. Again, as a reminder, have up to 2 minutes. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. Can I have 2 minutes for each? I'm joking with you. First, not a question. I just wanted to say hello to Rico.
Hi, Nancy.
Do you remember me, Rico?
Yes, I do. We miss you over there at the
Oh,
CNC.
thank you, from the Police Advisory Council.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
good
still
to-
with them. I'm on their board of directors.
oh, excellent. Good to see you.
All right.
The reason Rico and I know each other is from when I was working with the Police Citizens Advisory Council. But the other reason is because our apartment building is less than 2 blocks away from the CCNV shelter. My next question, I guess, is either for Rico or Mr. Chapman. The building at 440 First Street, the office building with the Phillips Cafe, are the alley closings going to impact deliveries and trash removal for that building? And are you in consultation with them?
You want me to?
Sure.
We don't anticipate it impacting what they do as far as trash removal or deliveries. From what we showed you, you may not understand, but they have enough room to do what they've been doing since I've been there, and that's make that 3-point turn. Make that 3-point turn in the alley, and then go back out to First Street. So it's to answer to that one is no. The other answer is yes, I have reached out to get contact information and haven't been able to get a response. But we have recently, in the last week, not last couple of days since Monday, been trying to reach out to the Department of Justice and the Department of Corrections, to a Mr. Smith and to a Mr. Corno for First Potomac, to get their opinion, or at least notify them that, yeah, that we're doing, they already know we're doing the construction, but that those particular alley closures we are requesting so that we can get it done according to plan.
And if I could jump in on the drawings that we had up there, I mean, there's, I guess I would describe it as a blocky letter C behind that building. And what we've observed coming in is that there, Rico, tell me if you think I got this right, but what I've seen there is the trucks for Phillips, that cafe coming in off of First Street, pulling up either next to Phillips or coming back around behind the building. I'm actually not sure how the building is configured to bring things in from the back, but for practical purposes, they still have, they can come off First Street, they can still run behind the building, they can still come in on the northern portion of that alley, go behind the building on the north-south, and then exit back in on First Street. So it's not, I guess I would say it's not zero impact, because there's possibly some traffic that uses that portion of the alley, but for practical purposes, like if you're there's a service component in the CCNV building that does not run by CCNV. It's called by a group called Clean and Sober Streets. Their entrance is like right now off of the alley at the end of that north-south alley that backs into the building. So if you're there during the day, you will often see people like outside of the building on the back on the alley. So with my long way of saying that, there's not no one that goes across the east-west portion of that on the either side of CCNV's parcels. But what we've seen is that the First Street, the 440 First Street, it's either the parking going in and out directly from First Street into the back, or their deliveries coming in around their building without using the northern portion of that east-west alley adjacent to CCNV's lots on either side.
I have contact information for the management of that building.
Great.
Oh, good.
And so does Commissioner Prince, right?
I don't think I would like to have it, but I don't believe I do.
I thought we exchanged emails with the manager of that building at 441, but I can resend it. So I can send the information to Commissioner Prince.
Great.
And you'll pass it along? Okay.
Yes.
There is contact information in our slides, so you can also utilize
That's
that
true.
if you wish, Nancy.
Okay, I won't have access to the slides, but thank you. The other question is, I'm very confused. I'm sorry, whoever drew up those depictions, God bless them, I wasn't getting it. So I don't know if anybody else is confused with the pink, the red, the this, the that, but my question is, has this been brought before the ANC before? I mean, have the approvals gone through review? Where are we in that process? Not just the alleys, for the whole project, I'm speaking.
So no, we've talked about the concept dating back to, I guess, the Jim Graham task force in 2014. Chris, you can jump in, because I think that what we're planning on doing now outside of the alleys would be a matter of right building. Chris, if I can defer to council on that.
No, that's all right. And for the benefit of the group, I'm Christopher Cohen with Holland and Knight. We represent CCNV on a pro bono basis. We actually assisted CCNV. Rico alluded to this when he first started speaking, with acquiring free title to the property. I think it was about 3 years ago, right, Rico?
Yes, that's
So,
when we started, right.
so very happy to be here, obviously. The Nancy or Miss Rosen, to directly answer your question, right now we are on the alley closing portion of the entire redevelopment. So if you want to think about it in phases that Chapman was referencing earlier, the first step, at least as far as I was aware, I mean, the engagement with the stakeholders has been going on for years. The initial step was acquiring acquiring title to the property that was free and clear of any additional strings with the federal government. So that was cleared. And now we're in the alley closing process. And then as far as the development, that massing you saw on the screen, again, I think it's important to reiterate this. That's very conceptual at this time. That hasn't been before the zoning commission, the Board of Zoning Adjustment, or any similar body. The alley closures are needed, though, to enable that development as proposed or as currently, configured in their conversations with city officials and what CCNV is trying to accomplish. So that was a long-winded way of saying right now we are still in the alley closure process. And we are receiving feedback from this ANC and from other agencies and utilities. And ultimately we'll be before the DC Council on the alley closure process. So I'm happy to answer a follow-up question to that, because that was probably a lot of information, but just wanted to kind of narrow where we are.
Yeah, Nancy, yeah, one last follow-up question or comment before we move to other segments? Don't hear any. Okay, thank you. Other constituents, any questions or comments for the panels? Okay, not seeing any. Commissioner Friends, this is in your district. Do you feel comfortable moving forward?
Thank you. So I would like to introduce a resolution in support of the public alley closure. I could show it on screen. I do have it teed up.
Sure.
Let me see how we're going to do this. There it is. So this is my draft. I welcome any edits to this, but basically we're saying, whereas Community for Creative Nonviolence Shelter 425 2nd Street Northwest is located within the jurisdictional boundaries of ANC 6E, and Rico Harris, Chapman Todd, and Christopher Cohen, representing CCNV, came before the ANC today to request our support for their application to close parts of the public alleys adjacent to the CCNV, and the proposed alley closures would be in compliance with relevant DC regulations, facilitate the construction of a modern shelter adjacent to CCNV, and attending commissioners expressed support for the concept. Therefore, be it resolved that ANC 6E supports the proposal to close parts of the public alleys adjacent to CCNV. That may require some further wordsmithing, but I did put in the file number, and I think that probably covers it. So that's my motion. I move that we adopt the draft resolution on, I'm calling it CCNV alley closure, but I welcome any edits. Over.
It's good to me, but Chapman, Todd, Christopher, any major changes? I think that should be included in the draft language.
I'll chime in. I'm giving it a fairly quick read right now. I see that the correct alley closing application number is referenced, which can be a hang up sometime. But I mean, if the ANC is comfortable with this, we really appreciate it. And I think it would go to the if the ANC could forward a copy to the surveyor's office, I think that would be the appropriate next step, assuming they're comfortable with it. So thank you.
Right, it would go, if we adopt this, it would go out in a letter with an introductory paragraph and a letter from the chairman, and I would look to you to provide me the information where we send this, the address, the name and address. Okay, so I have
Great.
moved that. Over to you, Chairman.
Great. So we can vote on a resolution. Do you want to make the motion?
Oh, I thought I did. I move that we adopt
Oh.
the resolution on the closure of public alleys adjacent to the
Oh,
CCNV.
Chapman, did you have a comment or question? See.
No, I'm sorry. If I clicked a button, that was an accident.
Oh, no problem. Okay. And anyone would like to second the motion?
I can second it.
Okay, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Haas seconded a motion to approve the proposal for the alley closure. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. So, Rachel, you're not allowed to vote. However, the motion passes with 4 ayes, 0 abstains, and 0 nays. And we will follow up with you on getting you the final version. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks for coming.
Right. Sure. Okay, moving to work. Yes. Moving to the next item, there's a short date from the Department of Health Services. See that we have. See that we have Tyler. David. Hey, hello, Tyler. Is David still on the call? I don't see.
Good afternoon. He's having technical difficulties,
Oh,
but we spoke about it. So I'll go ahead and give you the updates from the Department of Human Services while we wait. And so if any deeper questions, I'll just keep note of it so I can share with my leadership. But
sounds
good
good.
afternoon. Oh, my apologies. My name is Tyler Edge. I am the Special Assistant to the Chief of Staff at the Department of Human Services, and we are here at ANC 6E to discuss the East Street Bridge housing and updates. So we are still prepared to open this summer, the summer of 2025. If anything were to change or are there any updates, we'll be sure to give it to you all as we move closer to opening, but everything is going well. On March 18th, we hosted a Mokers Blitz. So that's where we worked with NOAA, Marcus Manning, MPD, DPW, DPR, and other government agencies to just canvass the area. And I took note of all the things you guys mentioned beforehand, in our February meeting when we were here. So the generator was one of the things that was mentioned in that conversation. Turns out the generator is not attached to our building. There are a number of cameras that are around the alleyway. I did count at least 7, but I know I saw a few more. I try to take pictures of all of them. And one of the things we realized, it might be a lighting issue rather than a camera issue. So we are definitely in conversation on how we can brighten up that alleyway to make sure not only our residents are safe, but the neighbors are safe. So that is just the updates as it regards to the bridge housing itself. The next thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is that Mocher Blitz. I know I said that we had one on March 18th, but we want to have another one in the evening as you guys requested, and want to ensure your participation. So I do want to share 3 dates, and coming up in May. And if you guys can let me know in the chat, which day works best. I'm thinking that since we're looking for an evening, maybe a 6:30, because that's when this started, PM walkthrough would be very helpful. So I know that we have quite a hectic week on that second week of May, but does May 15th is a date? I do know there's some folks who are also um won't be around that time. So I'm gonna give May 15th. I'm gonna try May 19th and then the May 20th. And we'll just keep them at 6:30 so we can, you know, make sure that at least that part is consistent. And if you guys, yeah, just let me know in the chat and or I will send you guys an email after this to follow up. Just make sure you respond because I will be reaching back out to the Mokers and working with the other DC government agencies to ensure that we're all walking through that area together. So does
Jump in about that. Yeah, I know Nancy was kind of spearheading, the I guess the logistics around the community in doing this. So I would just defer to her in terms of what is the best for scheduling. And she just actually wrote that May 15th doesn't work. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, maybe when there's public comment, we can have Nancy come on and she can maybe talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, I think I would say she's the POC for this.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And that's perfectly fine. And if the dates I mentioned don't work, I can email you all tomorrow. I do have you guys your contact information, and I will send you some other dates, or maybe you guys can work together to determine what the best option is. And we'll be sure to meet up with you all.
Yeah, we're
And
happy to facilitate, of course.
right. And the
Commissioners,
last,
do you? Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, and the last update, we wanted to bring to your attention that we are forming the E Street Bridge Housing Community Advisory Team. And just to talk about the Community Advisory Team, it is a collaborative effort and opportunity between DHS, the service provider of E Street, ANC members, you all, civic associations, and facility residents to work together as a community. The goal is to once we create this group, they are the stakeholders and they are the official voice as it relates to DHS facility and the surrounding neighborhood. Um, I would give you guys the pretty long definition, but to put it shortly, it is a good neighbor agreement. You guys will be able to talk about the maintenance of the property, safety and security, the conduct and behavior, communication, and making sure that everything is, again, collaborative, respectful, and that we are upholding our portion as we move into your neighborhood. With that being said, in order to get it started, it starts here with this conversation. Um, Once that happens, we'll be reaching out to the official group. So whoever's interested in joining that group, again, I will be sending a follow-up email. You can just let me know. And then we'll work with the Deputy Administrator, Tony Newman, who oversees the singles division within the Family Services Administration. It's kind of a lot within DHS. Then that's when he will really get into the meat and potatoes of what the CAT does. But essentially, it's like kind of like an ANC in a way, but instead it's a bit wider. We can have, I guess, I believe the size of the group itself depends on participation. So to give you an example, if anyone here is familiar, we opened up the Aston not too long ago. It's another bridge housing site. They have 12 people on their committee. So again, it's really dependent on who's interested, who's not. I know that I will also be on the committee as the DHS designee. And then when we do go into deeper details with Tony, we'll talk about what co-chairs look like, how the frequency of meetings, what our laws and scope of work would be within that specific CAT, which is the acronym for it. Yeah. And with all that being shared, I did try to take the liberty, but I'm not sure. Do we know the names of the civic associations that are within your ANC? Because I do want to reach out to them to let them know of this opportunity and making sure that we're getting all the voices heard.
Not for the whole ANC, but we could see if we can get you like a couple of names from the surrounding area.
Yeah, that's really, yeah, my
Yeah.
apology.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if we like the surrounding area, even for that, if all the ANC commissioners know all of the names, but if anyone does, feel free to make the connection. Commissioner Prince, do you have a comment?
I'm hard pressed to think of a civic association in that
Could be a
part
tenant
of town.
association.
Yeah, well, in my district, I don't have residences over there. The people who live closest are in the CCNV, and then we're looking at apartment buildings over at Sixth and Pennsylvania, and then up on Long Massachusetts Avenue, between, from Third Street West. So, no, I don't know. I mean, obviously the downtown bid comes to mind, but I'm not sure that counts as a civic
Yeah.
association.
Or they may be aware of if
I,
there
I,
are any
I think they are.
associations.
I just had a conversation with someone from the bid this morning, and I did mention this topic for his awareness.
Okay,
Great.
and that's actually like perfectly helpful. Any guidance? It does seem like this might be one where we will work together to identify it, because I did look online before I got on the call, and I found the Bates Area Civic Association, but I'm not 100% sure if it falls within this jurisdiction.
Bates, as in isn't there an elementary school called Bates? Yeah, I don't know what their boundaries are.
Yeah, because it runs along Florida Avenue. I'm looking at the map, and along New Jersey Ave Northwest. But given the way the ANC is broken up,
Yeah,
I'm not doing this at this very
yeah,
moment.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah, it sounds like that's north of us. Maybe Commissioner Carson, who's not with us this evening, may
mhm.
have visibility of others, and the bridge housing is in her SMD. Mine is immediately to the south across the street.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone for the
Great.
assistance.
I see
And
that David has joined. I'm trying to promote him as panelist, but I'm not sure if that's working. Okay. See that
okay.
Nancy has a question. So allow her to ask a question. Go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, I have many questions.
Well, we have 2 minutes. We'll make them
Many
three.
questions.
We'll
And
make
no,
them three, but you would have to find, we would also work with you on finding another time to ask the rest of the questions.
I appreciate that. I did want to apologize, Chairman, because I sent around an email, but I put the wrong commissioner on and failed to include you, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay, so before I ask my questions, and I'm hoping David can hear me, David Ross, I have to first express my displeasure
Mhm.
because community engagement, I believe, is like lip service at this point because the
Mhm.
shelter is due to open in 2 months. And we have yet to have a meeting, a sit down, outside of the purview of the ANC. Um, it's just very disheartening that the community, and when I say the community, we're the tenants association in the building right next door. So we're going to be severely impacted by what goes on there, or significantly impacted. And it's just very disheartening not to be included. And I don't want to point fingers because we didn't even know about tonight's meeting. Now I know the ANC could say, well, it's on the onus of the community to keep checking the agenda, but really? So I keep reaching out. I don't really feel the connection.
Mhm.
And that's got to improve so that, we can deal with issues of the shelter as they come up. So I have a list of questions, I'll rapid fire them and you can answer whatever you can. Has the property officially been transferred the ownership to the city? Has that happened yet?
I can't answer that question specifically, since it's not in under my scope of work.
Okay.
But I am writing your questions down to share with our capital operations team. And
Okay, well, I actually emailed all these questions to you guys yesterday, so you should have them. I'm just going through my list. Has a
okay,
service provider been chosen?
okay. I'm just listening to your questions
Well,
because you
no,
said
now
rapid.
I'm asking for an answer if you have it. Has the service provider actually been chosen?
Um, I don't want to misspeak, so I'm again, just let me know the questions and I'll be sure to talk to my leadership about
Okay,
that.
Tyler, check your
Mhm.
email because the questions are all in your inbox.
Oh, okay. I mean, thank you. I really do appreciate that. And thanks for the reminder. So Yeah, I'll be sure to talk to my leadership about it, and we'll be sure to get you those answers.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate it. I've tried to be a good neighbor and
Hmm.
I've been very respectful at these last few ANC meetings. But,
Yeah.
when there's no communication back or no looping in, it gets really frustrating. Um,
Yeah, and I understand your concern, and I don't want you to think we're, purposely dismissing you or things of that nature. So I know that, we work very hard here, and I know you work very hard where you're at. And one of the things with this conversation, I do highly recommend to, because you said tenant association, I'm gonna talk to my leadership about that to see if you could be a part of the CAT because you know, having someone, on the ground that's next door to us will help us maintain, what we promised to provide. So thank you for sharing.
there's also a stakeholders group that was formed when the shelter first was announced. And
Hmm.
they represent like some of the hotels, the businesses. So some of them, they're not civic organizations, so I don't know how strict you'd go by that. But they
Hmm.
may want to be part of this, especially the properties that abut the shelter. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know if on your blitz you walk through the alleys in the back of the shelter, which are
Hmm.
really the main concerned areas. I didn't see that on your map. David was kind enough to send me the map of where you did the walkthrough. Um,
Yeah, we walked through the alley, and like I said, based on the February meeting, I kept notes on what was like brought up the most. And we did notice, and I did take as many pictures as I could of the cameras in the area, and that's when we realized it was more of a lighting issue than it was a surveillance issue. And one of the things we are working with our core team, which they're usually on the ground and throughout the district, is to identify what business has ownership of the camera and if it is easily accessible should anything happen. But we recognize the concerns because alleyways can be like a lot of things can happen in the alleyway and we want to mitigate that as much as possible.
and they happen every night in this alley. I mean, it's a free for all back there. Just today,
So,
I went out, there was a homeless person, unhoused person sitting on the
Mhm.
back steps of the shelter building. And then I came through the alley and there was an unhoused person sleeping on the entrance property to the 25 East Street building. So,
so,
someone's not maintaining their piece of the pie there. Um, so
Mhm.
so
yes,
Nancy, we have given you 4 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have
that
to.
was 4 minutes. Do their answers count?
Well, 4 minutes with the answers. I mean, one more minute, ask the questions and then they can answer. I
When,
think this would should be a longer conversation.
yes.
So maybe schedule a blitz and have a more meaningful conversation then. Does that work? What would which one of the dates for that walk works for you and your tenant association?
It's not our tenants association that's the problem, but May 15th, that whole week is police week.
Okay.
This area is nuts.
Mhm.
Because there's like 5,000 police officers from all over the country. They're at all the hotels, all the bars. This neighborhood is crazy.
So
So
what are the other dates that you
the
suggested?
20th might be, might work.
Okay, the 20th does sound like a good date, so I will follow up again, like I said earlier, with more information about the cat. Uh, the proposed date, so May 20th does sound good at 6:30 p.m. Because we do want to make sure that we understand what it's like for you day to day being there and making sure that again
Okay.
we uphold what we
Yeah.
promised. So
And
thank you for your
just
time, Anthony.
one more, and then I'll stop, even though I have a whole list. The
Mhm.
generator is on the shelter property. I don't know what you were looking at, but it is part of the building.
Yeah, and we'll help. We'll when we do the walkthrough, we'll be able to identify and work on all of this. So no
I
worries. But
have a
thanks for
video of how noisy it is, even on the 6th floor in our building, so,
yeah, I
happy to
over
send that to you.
no worries. Thank you, Nancy. I overstand.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for your kindness and letting me go on.
Thanks. Let's see. Lisa Franklin. Lisa, go ahead. Lisa, you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, I just wanted to answer a question for Nancy. I'm with the Department of Human Services. One of the questions she asked was, did the DC government take ownership of the building yet? That answer is no. Um, the agreement is that we have until the owner can present us with a certificate of occupancy after the renovations are completed. And at that point, DC will then begin the purchase agreement with them.
Great, thank you. Anything else you would like to add?
Because I will be the one that will be investigating the generator issue, I'm just trying to figure out at what point did she hear it? Because it doesn't run unless there's a power outage. So if they're still hearing it, then it's a possibility that it's not coming from 25E. Because it's a generator that only comes on when there's a power outage.
Got it. Is this something that you would like to discuss now, or would you rather discuss it on the walk?
Well, I think during the walk, you can point
Okay,
it out and then we can definitely verify if it's us or not, or if it is
okay,
indeed even a generator that's making that noise, yes.
got it. Okay, you can also stay with us here if you would like to answer other questions.
Yeah, I've been listening all along. I just didn't
Yeah,
have,
thank
so,
you. I think David Ross had technical issues because we tried to add him as a panelist, but it didn't work. And I don't see him here. Any other questions by constituents who did not get the chance to ask questions? Okay. Um, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Well, okay. Nancy, would you want to address the question about the generator for 1 minute?
Yes.
We're over time and we need to move
Yes,
on.
thank you. Okay, so I've lived in the building 30 years. Other people have lived here for decades. It is the generator. It is part of the shelter building, and it's tested once a week at god awful hours of the morning and disturbs everybody in our building on that side. And I have a video I can send that shows the generator and the noise it makes. The issue is that in the chat box, everybody's putting their email, but there's no way for us to copy and paste what's in the chat box.
If
Just
it,
FYI.
what's your email, Nancy, so I can at least have you down when I respond to the ANC?
NG
Mm-hmm.
Rosen
Okay.
at
Yeah.
AOL.com.
Perfect. So NGROSEN
Yes, sir.
at AOL. Perfect. So at least I have that. So no worries about having to copy and paste anything.
And I would like the name of the lady that was just speaking so I can send her the copy of the video of the generator.
You can feel free to share with me so I can share with my leadership all together. That way I could just do one big swoop and that way it's all in one thread.
Thank you.
Of course.
Great. Thank you, Tyler and Lisa, for your time, and thanks for joining us. And we will continue the conversation, and we'll have Commissioner Hans coordinate moving forwards, correct, for the May 20th blitz, and we'll make sure to circulate that in the monthly newsletter. And thank you.
Yes, thank you all for your time. I hope you have a good day or evening.
Yep. Have a good night. Thank you. Um, going back to sorry. Going back to a comment about knowing about ANC 6E meetings, we had to schedule the last meeting to have quorum and also to have a duly noticed meeting, but we have voted on two methods, the newsletter and then the website for basically sharing information about the upcoming meeting. And also I shared message, and I will share it again in the chat for everyone if you're interested in subscribing to get the newsletter with reminders about the upcoming meetings. You can send us an email to the 6E ANC email, and then we can add you to the listserv. Okay. Sounds
Also,
good.
calendar invite. I just sent that out, so now it'll go to calendar.
That is great. Moving forward to the next item, which is a presentation by DOT. Hello, Tyler.
Hi, good evening. How is everybody?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me. Would you like to share the NOI or would you like me to?
We can share it. I think we have Commissioner Kaufman, do we have a copy of it? Did I share it with you?
It was this one, right?
No, maybe I did not share it with you. Let me see. Let's have it.
I can share if it's easier.
No, that's fine. I have it. So we will.
I also sent it to you in an email today before the 5 o'clock deadline.
Yeah. So I definitely have it. Yeah. So I have the letter, but do you want me to open the well, actually, yeah, let's have you share it because I think I only do you have the option?
The letter's sufficient. It would be the actual NOI letter because it has images in there that will show
Oh,
the
okay,
of the design.
got it. Let me open the letter. The letter is only showing me one pager with text. Let's have you share
Okay.
um your screen. Should be able to share your screen now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, great. So this is a notice of intent for safety improvements that will take place on 6th Street between Massachusetts Avenue and L Street Northwest. Unfortunately, the origin story of this safety work is the work that's proposed is in response to a pedestrian fatality that took place last summer in June. And the fatality took place at the intersection of 6th and New York Avenue. And upon investigating, typically when there is a pedestrian fatality, there's a fatality involving a vehicle, a traffic incident. We investigate the cause of it and see if there are opportunities to reduce conflict at intersections. And that is why we have this proposal here. So just to outline what we are proposing, we're looking at adding dedicated left turn signals as well as restriping the roadway to reflect a dedicated left turn lane. So I can show you, here's kind of an overview. So I'm hopeful that this is clear enough. If not, I can probably zoom in a little bit more. But on the left here, you have Massachusetts Avenue. In the middle, you have K Street. So basically what we will be doing is adding a dedicated left turn lane. So it's reconfiguring the travel lanes. There are no impacts to parking on both blocks, on the block between Massachusetts and K, as well as the block between K and New York, and then also New York and L. So what we have here is we'll be reconfiguring the lanes to create this dedicated left turn. We'll also be adding a left turn signal at this intersection. So, and it'll be from northbound and southbound. It'll be a dedicated light. And the reason that we're doing that is because oftentimes the vehicles that are turning left can come into conflict with the pedestrians that are crossing this intersection here. So now those that are turning left will have a dedicated signal. The walk signal will not be on while the vehicles are turning left. And then here below, this is the New York and 6th Street intersection. Again, we're creating these dedicated left turn lanes in both directions, north and south. I will note that, oh, I'm sorry, actually one correction for the K Street intersection. For the if we're on 6th Street going north towards so for the cars that are basically turning onto K Street towards downtown, that'll actually be flashing yellow left turn signal, but all the other ones will be a full-fledged left turn signal. Just the one that is on 6th Street going north, if you're trying to make a left from that direction, that'll be flashing yellow at K Street. So for the New York and 6th Street intersection, again, we'll have the dedicated left turn lanes as well as the traffic signals that will allow, it'll be, you know, red, yellow, green for the left turns to deconflict the left turns that are taking place and the pedestrians crossing New York Avenue here. So those are the safety improvements that we're proposing. And if you kind of see these boxes here, these boxes are really to highlight the legal parking area. So there'll be white stripes with, it'll be a white stripe box with some white diagonal striping in between and a couple flex posts as well. It's called daylighting. These are the legal setbacks from the intersection. It's just to encourage compliance. You're not legally allowed to park or stop there. So we just want to make sure that that's not happening. We want to make it very clear what the legal parking area is. And those are the proposed changes that we have for these two intersections. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Trying to imagine how, can you go back to the other slide just above, where you have the northbound 6th Street, folks turning left. Does that light open up for them at the same time the other northbound traffic gets a green light, or is it a separate? And then I'm thinking about what happens to the folks that are, let's see, well, there wouldn't be any, well, okay, let me just take that first question. Yeah, is that clear? Question.
Yeah, but it's considered its own phase. So at some point, the left turn signal will be a go at the same time that these cars right here have the green light. It'll just be shorter.
So it would go green and the others would have to wait. So the folks turn left and then everybody else can go.
These two would be green.
Yeah.
And these pedestrians will have however many seconds they're supposed to have to cross right here. And then this will go green towards in the last, I'm actually not sure the number of seconds for the turn, but it'll be on the latter half of these two lanes having the green light.
And and how is that timed with the people who are southbound on 6th Street?
Mm-hmm.
Do they just get a green light? Or is there a dedicated left turn signal?
When they will have a dedicated left turn signal as well. And those that are going straight will not be able to go straight while these cars are able to turn left.
Right, right. Okay. That's often a difficult left turn. There's a lot of traffic there. So I'm glad to see a dedicated left turn signal because the northbound 6th Street traffic often makes it very, very difficult to turn left there. And then I guess maybe I hope sort of unrelated to this, but somebody's probably thought about this. Of course, at Massachusetts Avenue, eastbound traffic has a dedicated left turn signal onto 6th for, I often use this, I'll turn left onto 6th and then right onto K. It's I wish that light were longer during rush hour, but
You wish the Massachusetts light was longer, or?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a little bit longer. Although, yeah, it seems to me that that's a dedicated, maybe it's a left turn signal, although the lane it also takes people who are going straight. So if somebody wants to go straight and then you have to wait, you're stuck, I think. But in terms of traffic flow, I guess I don't see any problem, but somebody probably thought about whether this is going to work well with the people coming off of Massachusetts up onto 6th and not sort of backing up, which is not a serious problem, but sometimes is a bit of a squeeze with the people turning right from Massachusetts, people turning left at the same time. And also sometimes people cross there, although they shouldn't be crossing, I suppose, if the left turn light is on.
I will note that the Massachusetts and 6th intersection signal timing is also something that is assessed during this, because we want to ensure that the signal timing is optimal. We look at the adjacent signals as well. So we don't want to impede traffic flow. We don't want cars kind of lined up queuing in the intersection. So that signal timing, it's not included in this NOI, but there will likely be some timing adjustments to that signal timing to ensure that there isn't that backup in the intersection, and that the transition to make that left turn on the 6th Street is a smooth one.
Right. Okay. And so when on 6th Street, those left turn signals are on, of course, there's no crossing really in any direction, right? Because you could have people in the bike lane that would get hit, people on K Street, as well as people trying to cross K Street parallel
Yes,
to 6th.
correct. While
Yeah.
those left turn signals are on, there won't be any crossing.
Thank you.
Pedestrian crossing, I should say. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
Commissioner Kaufman, do you have a question?
It was addressed. Thank you.
Oh, great. I don't have any questions.
Sorry, I just have one question.
Go ahead.
So I saw there's going to be a dedicated left turn signal onto K. What about for New York? I just wanted to clarify. Will there be one for
Yes.
New York too?
Yes, there will be one for New York as well,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
in both directions. Well, I want to be clear that that's for 6th Street,
Yeah, 6th Street going
Yes.
north, right? Okay.
north and south, correct.
Great. Thank you. Constituents who are with us, any questions or comments?
There is a question in the chat related to this.
Oh.
In the Q&A, not the chat. Excuse
Oh
me.
yeah, will there be any automated enforcement added in as part of these changes? One need only look at the dedicated turn lanes on New Jersey Avenue north of M Street Northwest to see how dangerous drivers continue to be. Also, it looks like parking is included on the east side of 6th Street between New York Avenue and L Street. I seem to recall a past proposal for changes here did not include parking there. What drove the change? Scott, would you want to ask the question? Or Sally, could you see the question in the
Yeah.
Q&A?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the first
Yeah.
part of the question, will there be any automated enforcement added as a part of these changes? Not at this time. We do continuously evaluate the locations of our traffic cameras. And right now, particularly for speed cameras, we are looking at about 1,200 locations that would meet the criteria. So we're trying to figure out how to shuffle the deck, I like to say, for our traffic cameras if there are cameras that have kind of done enough, or if there's a location where a camera is that is preparing to get some major corridor safety work, we would maybe remove that camera to a place that is still awaiting corridor level safety work. So at this time, no, there are not plans to have automated traffic enforcement for these two intersections. And then in terms of the parking question, so yes, there were NOIs that were shared in the fall that involved the removal of parking, but it was also proposed that that the removal of parking was a concern. And so we did revise the design in a way that allows parking to be preserved. And that's what you see here. So we initially presented an NOI that would result in a loss of parking, and that was perceived as less desirable. So we have reconfigured the design to allow for parking to maintain.
Can I ask a quick question? Where was the parking that was supposed to be removed and then preserved?
I believe right here.
Okay.
Yep, between New York and L.
And could you share like the concerns that constituents had for removing these parking? Is there like high demand for on-street
Yeah.
parking in that section?
Exactly. So we got concerned about high demand for parking. I think there was an interest in residential parking, and I think right now this is MPD parking. And I know that MPD is going through a change with this property here, I believe. And there is an interest in, I believe, using the parking on L Street. I'm not sure if they have plans to use the parking on 6th Street. But the concerns that we did hear from members of the public was that parking was scarce in the area, and that if there was an opportunity to preserve parking, that would be preferable.
Thank you. Any other questions for Tyler? Okay, great. I'd like to call Commissioner Prince our transportation expert. Do you have any last comments or questions, or do you feel like we need to provide comments? Would you want to propose a resolution support? Would that be helpful if we support this proposal to have a resolution just expressing our support for it?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, which SMD is this? And apparently that commissioner is not present.
I think 6E01.
It's 01, okay.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, all right, since 6E01 is not with us this evening, then I'm happy to introduce a resolution in support of this plan. So I will move that we adopt a resolution in support of the plan presented. I see an NOI number here. Maybe we can reference that, 25-193,
Yes.
and then some letters afterwards.
Dash MSED.
MSED. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the the entirety of it because of the dots afterwards. That would be it. That we support this.
I could second it.
Anyone with, okay, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hahn seconded a motion to express ANC 6E support for NOI 25-193-MSED. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Right, the motion passes with 3 ayes, 0 abstains and 0 nays, and we'll make sure to get that resolution to DOT.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now and then great. Moving to the next item, which is a request for support for a PUD extension. I see Jessica with us.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Hi.
hear you. Okay. Great.
Sorry,
Is there
just
anyone else presenting
yes.
or?
Good evening. Blaine Carter from the applicant is also on, and if you could promote him to presenter as well, that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you. And let me know when you're ready for us to begin.
Sure. Whenever you're ready.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, commissioners, for letting us give you a brief presentation this evening. My name is Jessica Bloomfield with the law firm of Holland and Knight. We are the zoning counsel. And I will briefly go through this presentation. I will say we had a detailed one-on-one meeting with our single member district commissioner, Prince, a couple of weeks ago, where we went through this same presentation and sort of took a deep dive. I'm not sure how deep of a dive we're going to need to go tonight, but we are here to do so if that would be helpful for you. So I'll start with sort of a high level. We're here to talk about Capitol Crossing, which is a project you all probably know well. We, in the past, have worked with the prior ANCs 2C and 6C, which were the ANCs under which Capitol Crossing had its jurisdiction before the redistricting in January of 2023. So we're sort of new to you all, but we are certainly not new to DC or to the community. This project has been ongoing for quite a long time. The reason we're here tonight is very specific. It is simply for an extension of the building shown on the screen now, which is an office building on what we call the south block of the Capitol Crossing development project. So there's nothing substantive really to discuss tonight in the sense of what of a development project. We are simply requesting an extension of something that has already been approved. If you go to the next slide, please. This is just to provide a little bit of context. This is a photograph from 2008 of what Capitol Crossing looked like before Capitol Crossing was there. It's the highway. If you go to the next slide, there's some other vantage points. On the top, you'll see north is to the right. That's Mass Ave going diagonally. And on the bottom, it's to the Mass Ave is to the left. This project capped the highway and created a grid, a street grid on top of it, where it basically created F and G streets through the site between 2nd and 3rd streets. So what you're seeing here is what this property looked like, you know, almost 20 years ago. If you go to the next slide, please. This is sort of what it looks like now. To the left is north. Those, what looks like 3 buildings, that's what we call the north block. That's Massachusetts Avenue to the north and G Street to its south, sort of in the sort of center of the image going north-south. That building, those buildings have been constructed. It's 2 buildings. They are office buildings currently operational. To the south of that, so to the right, that's what we call the center block. That has been approved for a hotel building and a residential building. We're not here to talk about that tonight. That's already been approved and is has not yet been constructed, but there's nothing to talk about there unless you have questions. Directly to the south of that is F Street, and then the south block. And the south block is what we're here to talk about tonight. That's been approved with an office building. It was originally approved in 2013. There were some very minor modifications that came after that, and we are simply here for an extension of the entitlement that has already been approved. And this is the very first time we're coming to ask for an extension. Generally, the zoning commission looks pretty favorably on extensions, particularly the first time that they are requested, and particularly in this climate of a difficult development climate, which I will get into in just a couple of slides. If you go to the next, please. This is an image from the very first approval of the PUD that just shows the north block to the north, which is the left, the center block and the south, which I described before. And you can see G streets, G and F streets that were created through the property. The next slide. Here you can, this is a good image. What I haven't really talked about yet is that this project involved the capping of the highway and also a significant amount of infrastructure, the streets and many levels of a very large below grade parking garage that includes a loading facility. All of that has been constructed under the entire property, those 3 blocks. It all already exists. This is sort of just an image so you can get a sense of what that looks like, and what the final product would look like once everything has been developed. Next slide, please. It's a little bit repetitive, but here you can just now see all of the buildings that have been approved on the property. Again, north is to the left. We're talking about the south block, which are the 2 rectangles on the right-hand side. The next slide, please. Again, this is just an illustrative site plan showing the south block. And the next slide. And you can sort of flip through these pretty quickly. I just included them. These are all renderings of the approved office buildings, so you can get a sense of what it looks like, since we didn't engage too much with ANC 6C for these approvals because it was not in your ANC at the time. So you go to the next slide. This is one image. The next slide, this is what the streetscape will look like. And the next, just different views walking around the building. Thank you, and keep going. Hopefully we'll get to the legal standard here soon, and then I can close us down. The legal standard for an extension, I'm not sure if you see a lot of these right now, or if this is maybe new to you, but there are 3 prongs to the zoning commission granting approval. One is that the extension is served on all parties. Well, on the next slide, you'll see that we meet all of these standards. The ANC was the only party in this case. So we served you when we filed the application. Second standard is that there have been no substantial changes in any of the material facts upon which the zoning commission based its original approval. In this case, there are no changes proposed. So we meet that standard. And the third prong is that the applicant demonstrates with substantial evidence that there is good cause for the extension. And I'll talk about that on the next slide. Please. This is a little repetitive. We met the first prong because we served the ANC. We met the second prong because we proposed no changes. And we met the third prong. Again, next slide, please. Sorry, this would be easier if I was doing it myself. In our application materials, we submitted page after page with very detailed information on why we are unable to move forward with filing a building permit application at this time for the approved project. Sort of a very high level summary of that is on the screen. As you all know, following COVID, there have been unprecedented office vacancy rates. I think it's something like 20% in the district right now. The North Block office buildings on the Capitol Crossing development site themselves are not even full. I think it's like one of them is 85% full and one of them is 20% full. So the vacancy rates on this property alone for office are not full. So there's very little market to build office development right now. As you probably know, construction costs are exceedingly high. There are issues with supply chain, there are labor shortages, high interest rates, tightened credit. Now is not a time that there is really any market to develop office. Sort of goes without saying, if you're interested in those details, they're all in our materials that we filed to the case record and you should all have a copy of. Next slide, please. So we wanted to just briefly describe to you that despite everything I just said, that now is a very difficult time to develop office, there is no doubt that this project is going to move forward. Our client has invested $1 billion in developing this project so far. They constructed the platform over the highway, all of the base infrastructure, the below grade parking and loading facilities, which you've seen. They constructed the 2 office buildings on the North Block. They constructed a rectory and annex, which are facilities for the Holy Rosary Church on the center block. And they relocated the Addis Israel Synagogue from the South Block. So those were major works. F and G streets were constructed. Part of this project also involved the construction of new roadway bridges, portals into the highway, a number of traffic signals, streetlights, water and sewer lines, curb inlets. I mean, a huge amount of infrastructure went into developing the land on which these buildings will be built. So it's not like we're coming in here and saying, that's tough right now. We don't know what we're going to do. These projects will get built. They just can't get built within this exact time frame that was allotted to us. On the South Block specifically, we have received all of our public space approvals from DDOT and installed all of the public space improvements. So you can see that as you walk around the property. We've obtained approvals from all of the utilities, DOEE, DC Water, Pepco, Verizon. All of that utility infrastructure has been installed. All of the legal covenants have all been recorded. So we are moving forward with this project. I don't want to belabor the point, but this is the legal standard that the zoning commission will be looking at in approving the project. So if you go to the next slide, please, which might be the last. Here we go. So the deadlines that we are currently under require that we file a building permit application for the office building by August of this year, and that we start construction by August of 2027. We are requesting a 2-year extension, which is the standard number of years in the zoning regulations, so that we would have to file a building permit application by August 2027 and start construction by August 28, 2029. I think that's it. If you go to the next slide. Yes. So that's our presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Blaine is here as well. Let us know.
Great. Thank you for
Oh,
the
and I'll
presentation.
just, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The
No,
zoning
go ahead.
scheduled to decide this case at its public meeting on May 29th. So that's sort of our schedule.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? I personally don't have any concerns about supporting the request, but we'll just see.
I'm
Okay.
happy to jump in, but I want to hear if any other commissioners have questions.
But yeah, definitely hearing from you would be good. Since we
Okay,
had
so
previous conversations.
thank you for that excellent presentation. Thank you for coming to the meeting. I was very happy to be able to meet with you and look at the sort of the entirety of the project. I see it out my living room window. It's a beautiful thing. I haven't paid as much attention to the, I don't know if you call it the middle block, and of course the south block, which we're here to talk about today. I fully and enthusiastically support the time extension, and I think the ANC should vote in favor of a resolution, which I will put up on the screen in a moment, for all of the reasons that we've heard. That this is a planned unit development. It's part of a larger piece that includes other elements we haven't discussed about the 2 buildings facing Massachusetts Avenue, which are partially occupied office space. And then there's a middle piece, which we didn't talk about, involving a hotel and some residential property. And then this is, another property on the south block, which would, with this extension, be entirely aligned with its original purpose. No change there. And I think we can all appreciate the current financial environment. And I remind the commission that we recently voted in a 2-year extension for a different building project in, I think, SMD 01, maybe over on K Street, although that was a residential. So whenever we're ready, I will show the draft resolution for people's consideration.
Great. Other commissioners, do you have any comments or questions? Constituents with us tonight, do you have any comments or questions? Let's see. And so did you have a comment or question for the panelists?
Nancy, right?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. Very vocal tonight, and I seem to be spatially challenged this evening, so I apologize. Jessica, just a point of clarification. The building on the south side that you showed is the office building. That's on the E Street side, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so E and First,
E in between second and third.
second and third. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Also, we love the Tati coffee shop. And the zoo animals that you have all around the construction sites are lovely, the giraffes and the elephants and whatever. So thank you.
I will pass that along.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions by constituents? Okay, not seeing any. Commissioner Prince, would you like to introduce your resolution? Not presentation, already went through the
Yes,
presentation.
so, right, this is my draft, resolution, which is, rather brief. But I think I've got the essentials here and I welcome substantive corrections from those representing Capital Crossing, which states that the planned unit development is within our boundaries, that Jessica Bloomfield and Blaine Carter came before us to request our support for the 2-year time extension of approved second stage PUD. I've got the case numbers in there. And I state that the resolution states that the requested 2-year extension does not entail any changes to the original purposes of the PUD on the south block of Capital Crossing and will allow Capital Crossing to continue to pursue financing for the project, and attending commissioners expressed support for the concept. So be it resolved that we support the proposed 2 years extension. So that is the resolution that I will move that we adopt. Perhaps we should have some discussion about that. And welcome any substantive changes from Capital Crossing folks or edits of a language from other commissioners.
Looks good to me if it works for Jessica and Blaine.
It looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Prince, would you like to make a motion?
I move that we adopt the resolution supporting the proposed 2-year time extension for the Capital Crossing South Block.
I second that.
Great. Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hans seconded a motion to support the requested 2-year extension by Capital Crossing. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. The motion moves with 4 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. And we will make sure to get you the final version that is signed to you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good night,
Very
everyone.
much. Yep.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Okay. So now to Dandy. So for some reason, it seems like this is season for liquor license renewals. We have been getting a large number of those. Let me share my screen. Yes. So what we have been doing is packaging a number of those renewal applications, unless we have any concerns about any of these establishments. So these establishments already have a alcoholic beverage license, so they're filing for renewals. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 across different single member districts. And I'm happy, maybe probably easier just to post them in the chat. First question is, are we joined by anyone who represents any of these establishments? We would be happy to have you join us if you'd like to share anything about your establishment. Just listed the list of establishments with liquor license renewals. Are we joined by anyone representing any of these establishments?
I do know that a few from my district are on the call.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
I don't know if we want to go numerically, if you, or what.
Yeah.
Let me see who I recognize, which names here. I've got, Talal is from one of my businesses. I'm not sure. I may have forgotten the names of others. I apologize. But
No
raise
problem. I
your hand
see
if you.
Tony. Okay. Yeah, if you represent any of these establishments, please use the raise hand option and let us know if you'd like to share anything. Yeah, Talal or Tony, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Tony.
Great. Good evening. My name is Talal Orfali. I'm finance director at Lardente and next door Love Makoto. We've had the pleasure of attending the last meeting when you kindly supported our liquor license renewal at Makoto. And yeah, we've been in the neighborhood. Very excited to be here. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Tony?
Likewise, we've been here before. It's a pleasure, to be here tonight. I was just here last month for a public space permit. So yeah, I'm representing a Bake Joint and La Betty. I feel like, we've been good neighbors. So hopefully there's no objections to us renewing our license.
Sounds good. Constituents, do you have any questions for Tony or Talal? No, that's great. Do we have anyone else representing any of these establishments? Please use the raise hand. Would like to share anything. Great. Yeah, no objections. I think we'll move forward. Thank you, Tony and Talal, again for joining us. And yeah, and we love to support local businesses. So happy to be supportive. Okay. So the way we'll be doing it, since we don't have any issues, I'll probably just do one resolution. So I make a motion that ANC 6E supports the renewals for alcoholic beverage applications with APCA for the following establishments: A Bake Joint, AC Hotel Washington, Van Siam, Bus Boys and Poets, La Betty, Ottoman Taverna, Frost or Prost, RPM Italian, Cafe, Bar Taco, Mount Vernon, Rasa, Streets Markets, / Andy's Pizza Noma, Citizen M, King Street Oyster Bar, Menomale, Carving Room Noma, Hotel George, Phoenix Park and Phoenix Park Hotel, Ted's Bulletin, Arlo Washington, Good Company Donuts and Cafe, and Le Ardente. Motion to second. Okay, great. So Commissioner Abukala made a motion to support the applications for alcoholic beverage renewals with APCA for a group of establishments, and then Commissioner Han seconded the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Right. So the motion moves with 4 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains, and we'll get that resolution to APCA. Moving forward, if we get a large number, maybe we could do multiple resolutions, split them by single member district. But if we don't have any concerns, we can also just package them. Moving to the next item, be voting on Q2 financial report. And Q2 is actually January, February, and March, right?
Yes, because the quarter
The
starts in
fiscal year.
October. Yep, fiscal year starts in October. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if we can actually go to the second page, I'm happy to kind of walk through it. Also, I did want to just acknowledge there was actually a comment about busboys and poets from Scott. So Scott, I think you live in my area, so happy to kind of chat more about that. I know that they did install some, I want to say some temporary parking over there so that folks would not do that, but it doesn't seem like that it's addressed the problem. So yeah, we can talk more about it. I think this is something that Chris was working on last year. So feel free to reach out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we should definitely include. He's not with us today, but Sam Al-Hadib is the new ANC commissioner for 6E01. So yeah, we should definitely include him in this conversation. Thank you, Scott.
Yep. All right. Moving on to the quarterly report. So nothing really out of the ordinary. You'll see those two Wells Fargo charges. Those are actually an error from the bank, so they have been corrected. So you see the 1065 and the 4689, and then if you go down a little bit more, you see it again. So it was kind of removed from the account. Oh, sorry. And then in terms of the other regular things, so Karen, the person that does minutes for us, we had to pay her in January and February and obviously March. But the March one is going to hit in the next report, according to what Davina said. So that's why the March one is missing. And then there were two expenses actually for me. This was part of the transition from Chris that he had paid for this stuff, and so now it was all on his name. So now I kind of transferred the GoDaddy web hosting and then the domain. That's for our website right now, and those are the fees that come with it. So I got reimbursed for that. But other than that, yeah, everything looks pretty good. Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, so you mentioned that the payment will be shown next month for Karen for the March. It will be actually in April. It will show in the April expenses.
Well, for the next quarterly report, correct. This is the quarterly, so this is every 3 months. So
Oh,
yeah,
got it. Yeah.
yep.
Got it.
The March will
Commissioner,
be.
yeah, got it. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Great. Commissioner Hans, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, sure. I move to approve ANC 6E's quarterly FY25 Q2 report, financial report.
Great. And Commissioner Common, I could not hear you.
And I'll second.
Great. So Commissioner Hans moved and Commissioner Kaufman made a motion to approve the ANC 6E quarterly transactions at fiscal year 25 Q2 report. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion passes with 4 ayes, no abstains, and 0 nays. Thank you. So the next section is the open forum. We'll have time for any constituent or commissioner to ask questions, share comments, or raise any concerns or issues for 2 minutes. And I will start with commissioners. Anything you would like to share?
Actually, could I just acknowledge the message in the Q&A from Fintan Kelly,
Oh,
whom we missed
oh
in the
yeah.
license discussion, who came
Oh
representing
sure.
Arlo.
Oh yeah.
We've approved them all, but I apologize.
Yeah.
We didn't see.
Yeah. We
We'll
just
call
saw
on
that.
you.
Clinton, yeah. Feel free to share anything. Um, we approved or express our support for your application for the liquor license renewal, but feel free to share anything if you'd like to. You're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you can hear me. No?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Thanks very much. Nothing to share. Just happy to be here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. If we have
Thanks.
any questions, I'm happy to support. Yeah, thank you for tracking that in the Q&A.
Could we also share for those on the recording, the content of the comment about busboys and poets? Which is an interesting comment. I know we've approved it, but since it was added to the Q&A, well, we answered it in writing, but only with a message of appreciation. But I think perhaps we could, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you agree with that, but
Sure. Would you want me to post it in or
well, no,
read
just to
the?
read it because
Okay.
it intersects the
Yeah,
transportation issue that I have as well as the liquor license application.
sure. So there was I'll read the comment. There's a comment by a constituent about a concern with busboys and poets. I believe that is on K Street in 6E01. There's a high volume of car-based takeout they operate, which results in cars constantly blocking the bike lane, the actual travel lane, 4.5 Street in the mid-block crosswalk on the 400 block of K Street. It also makes the area more noisy with all the added honking from the cars blocking. Yeah, thanks for raising that concern. Definitely follow up on that with the establishment and try to find resolution. And we will keep you looped in. And that is in 6E01, correct?
Yeah.
I believe that's 6E01, and
Yeah.
I think I agree with a lot of that comment because I do ride those bike lanes, and I notice they're occasionally blocked, or perhaps more than occasionally. And farther down the block, well, this has nothing to do with busboys and poets, but in the same transportation issue, the short-term parking doesn't work terribly well, but that's not in front of busboys and poets. I do see passenger drop off and pickups of takeout and so forth there. So I think it's something we should see if we can find mitigation for.
Yeah. No, definitely follow up on that. Okay, constituent. Well, first we'll start with commissioners. Do you have any comments or questions or anything you would like to raise during the open forum? Great. Yeah, I think I mentioned this before. We continue to work with Councilmember Allen's office and the Department of Building on a strategic plan for addressing maintenance issues in large multifamily buildings in 6E. And we started tracking some of these concerns that we're hearing from constituents, so I will share that with commissioners. And if anyone joining us also would like to reach to any one of us about issues with their buildings, operations, management, safety, or anything like that, that would be great. Yeah, that was my main update. I see Scott with raise hand option. Scott, feel free to unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Oh, so thank you very much for your attention to the things I posted in the Q&A. My open forum item is that I was noticing that there is a YouTube channel that ANC 6E used to use to post the meeting recordings, but it's been sort of inactive since last year. And I didn't know if it didn't perhaps transfer to the new leadership this year, or if there was a transition to a different platform that maybe I missed somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hans, would you like to answer that?
Sure. So essentially that YouTube channel was connected to a former commissioner's personal Gmail, which made things a little bit complicated. So we had to create a new YouTube channel, and I've tried to transfer a bunch of the videos. Not all of them went through, but there is a new one, and I'm happy to drop that in the chat if you're curious about that, Scott. For the
Awesome.
ones
Thank you
from
so
this year.
much.
Yeah. And we should definitely add that to the website, even if for the time being we have two links just in case someone is interested in accessing the new or the more recent videos. Thanks for raising that, Scott. That's very helpful. Do you have any other questions or any comments?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Other constituents, do you have any questions or comments or anything you wanted to share? Great. Well, not let's see Nancy. Oh, see Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
I just want to say thank you.
Ah, thank you.
Appreciate, I had a lot of questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And thanks for joining us. Let's call for questions or comments. Okay. Not seeing any. The next meeting will be on Thursday, May 29th at 6:30 p.m. And I would like to make
29th to 22nd, sorry.
so it is the last Thursday of each month.
Oh, okay. Is it okay? So then I have to change that in the calendar update because I think right now I have it set for every fourth Thursday. So
I think we went with that and then we chose simplicity and went with the last Thursday of every month.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
it'd be 20. Right.
I will make that change.
Great. Thank you. Anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll do it. So I move that we adjourn our April 30th meeting.
I would like to second.
Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Haas seconded that. ANC 6E adjourned for the April 30th meeting. And just noting that the time is 9:11 p.m. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion moves with 4 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstains. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a good night. We'll talk to you next.